Talk Show. Recorded live.
Welcome, everybody. It's Franco Collins here, speaking with you on Wednesday, the 13th of July, 2011, on the University of UCADIA Talk Show. Thanks all those who are on the call tonight, and hopefully you can hear me okay tonight, and hopefully that this call will be stored on TalkShoe, but also stored on universityofUcadia.info. And that website is university.ucadia.info. Terry Lynn has sent her apologies tonight. Unfortunately, she is unable to host tonight, so I am hosting the call as well as speaking. As per our normal format, what we'll be doing is we'll be doing the first hour, where I want to share with you tonight a number, I think, of very important topics. I want to cover some of the updates on positive law and go through that with you in light of what we spoke of last week. I want to talk to you about the August the 13th, 15th presentment that needs to be going out, and this is the important presentment about the supreme financial system. I want to talk to you about that and the background to it, the history to it. I also want to share to you a bit more about the supreme financial system itself and what is being prepared and planned in terms of the money system, because I know that a number of you have been waiting to see that this comes to fruition. And then after the first hour, and we cover all that hopefully in that hour, I look forward to taking any questions you have. So for questions, I ask that you type in the word question all in capitals and then the nature of your question, or that you press *8 and then you let us know that you're available to come and speak live, and then I'll unmute you and look forward to speaking with you. So please forgive me if I'm a little bit disjointed, because I'm not just speaking, but I'm also managing the software, so fingers crossed it all goes well tonight. Well, let me start then, firstly, by talking about what's coming up in August in terms of our next presentment on the money system, given one of the key topics at the moment in global affairs is the looming second financial crisis. The supreme financial system built from UCADIA, built into the canons of law as well as the covenants, has been ready for some time. However, we've been waiting to see the timing in terms of the documents we send, the timing in terms of finishing the canons, the timing in terms of when the rules and when the workbenches are ready. Like you, I've been frustrated that this has taken a lot longer than I expected. And I know that a number of you, when we've spoken about the supreme financial system, we've spoken about this being something ready some months ago as opposed to now. Like you, I've been in exactly, and in fact are in the same financial position where I am struggling to think about where I will be able to get money in a month or 2 months' time to just pay rent. I mean, that is a consequence for me, like you, in terms of spending more time on reading, on learning, on the economy and the circumstances we all find ourselves in. So the timing of this is extremely important for all of us. For me, it's less about the energy that can help me personally, but it is about making sure that this very, very important part of UCADIA is ready. So as circumstances has come, August the 13th or August the 15th, transpires as the day that we'll be launching the Supreme Financial System. And we'll be doing that by a package that we are sending to a number of key individuals. And that includes the true Grey Pope. It includes the Jesuit Superior General, includes Pope Benedict. But this time it also includes the Bank for International Settlement. It also includes King Carlos of Spain. It includes the head of the Sovereign Knights of Malta, and it also includes the Queen of England, Queen Elizabeth II. I want to go through that and explain why these key individuals are being contacted. So before we do that, let's start on a bit of background history as to August, and also history of money and financial systems itself, and why the timing of this has turned out to be the right timing, and the importance and significance of the Supreme Financial System. So when we talk about the Supreme Financial System, we're talking about the fact that there is a structure of currencies, of underwriting, of systems of exchange, of markets, of identifying energy, and in recognizing the transference of both spiritual energy and practical energy of a global financial system. And that's built in. Now, if you go to the site One Heaven and you go to the Covenant One Heaven, so that's one-heaven.org, and if you go to the Covenant One Heaven, you'll see under Articles 117 and 118 that we are talking about the structure of One Heaven in terms of a thing called the Supreme Credit. The Supreme Credit being a unit of value generated from 100 divine trusts of deceased members who grant equitable title to create a supreme unit of value called the Supreme Credit. And you'll also see in Article 118 a concept called the Treasury of One Heaven. Now, before someone says to you, this all sounds hokey, it all sounds very weird, this stuff is impossible to explain, and if I did explain it to someone, they'd think I'm mad, let me reveal some important history to you. The current financial system that we live under is based on the Treasury of Heaven. The current financial system we live under is based on the dogma, the doctrine, the fundamental belief in the existence of the Treasury of Heaven. Well, how is this possible, and how come we haven't heard of it? Well, the reason you haven't heard of it is because it is not overly advertised, but it does exist. In fact, it is a fundamental doctrine of the principle of indulgences and the fact that every single negotiable instrument in the world today remains at heart an indulgence. An indulgence being an instrument created under the dogma and doctrine of the Roman cult, the Vatican. So, when we think about the concept of the Treasury of One Heaven, and how do we know this is true? Well, the doctrine of the Treasury of Heaven is based on a very simple principle that they use to claim control of the global system, global world, and that is that there exists in heaven a treasury, and that treasury is full of unlimited credit, and credit is created from the sacrifice of the saints and martyrs and Jesus. And when we commit a sin in heaven, God, in their principles, is presumed to be a Venetian accountant. When we sin, the accounts in heaven are balanced automatically. But what happens is, on this plane, on the temporal plane, the account is not yet reflected on earth as it is in heaven. And so they, as the representatives of the divine, claimed representatives of the divine, issue an instrument of debt that effectively monetizes the sin and then calls upon some underwriting to balance and bring the account into order. And so that is what they're doing. If the Treasury of Heaven did not exist, the present global financial system of banks, institutions, of money, of derivatives, of everything you see, of stock markets, none of it could exist. All of it depends on the belief in the doctrine of the existence of the Treasury of Heaven. So, the Covenant of One Heaven and the present system have something in common. We both believe in a concept that the highest treasury possible is the Treasury of Heaven. The only difference is we, through the covenant, claim that that treasury now has been bestowed through the covenant, and that the Roman cult and its various allies no longer have any right to claim direct stewardship or connection to it. Well, 400 years ago, roughly to the day of August the 13th to the 15th, in the city of London, a very special instrument was commissioned. A charter was granted to a group called the Inner and the Middle Temple by Queen Elizabeth. And that charter made the Inner and Middle Temple a peculiar. That is, effectively, the members of the Inner and Middle Temple were granted what is called a lodium title. That is, no one can claim ownership of that land higher than the members of the Inner and Middle Temple, not even the king or the queen. Sorry, I apologise. I said Queen Elizabeth. It was King James. I apologise. I'm sorry. I was thinking of Queen Elizabeth II gave a copy of the original charter to the members in the anniversary in 2008. So that's why I was confused. It was King James, of course, that did it, not Queen Elizabeth. In 1609, as a celebration and to seal the deal, a goldsmith by the name of John Williams was commissioned to create a gold cup weighing 222 ounces, costing £666 as a gift. That gold cup was then filled with 444 ounces of gold florins and then given to the king, weighing 666 ounces of gold. Now, at this point, the Roman cult had developed, since the birth of the Jesuits, a suborder of the Franciscans being the Venetians, being the religious side of the Venetians, had created a concept called the transmutation of the soul. And what the doctrine of the transmutation of the soul was important is that the Jesuits had created this concept that a gold bar could be the penitentiary of the soul. That is, the soul could be captured as property and could be transmutated into gold in the form of a bar. Now, you've probably heard the word bar because a few centuries later, the Bar Association was created. But before the Bar Association was created, the Jesuits had structured this idea that souls could be salvaged, hence the word salvation, and could be transmuted into gold, giving gold a far more significant spiritual value. And this is the underpinning of the financial system. And the process of salvaging, of course, is done through the sacrament